You're listening to the Global Workforce Podcast with me, George Britton. Each week, we interview an industry expert to dive deeper into the world of managing a global workforce and discuss the big strategic challenges that you're going to encounter along the way. This episode is brought to you by OmniProtect, the global employment platform that allows you to employ anyone, anywhere without having to set up an entity. Designed, built, and supported by global employment experts, OmniProtect takes care of your international employees and contractors, so you don't have to worry about payroll, HR, or compliance issues, making it easier, faster, and safer to expand internationally. So, hello everybody. My name is George Britton. Welcome to our webinar today. I'm the Director of Sales and Customer Success and Partnerships at OmniProtect, and this is the first in a series of webinars that we'll be hosting all around M&A success. Over the coming weeks and months, I'll be talking with different people in the M&A world about their experiences, sharing insight and value with the community. Now, to kick things off today, I'll be joined by Olle Råghall, COO at Soundtrap. Good afternoon, Olle.
Good afternoon. Great to be here. Thanks
How's
for
your day
having
going so far?
Yeah, it's going very well. I'm calling in from Aix-en-Provence, southern France, which is my where I work from. So I have a nice sunny spring day down here in Provence.
Well, I'm very jealous. I'm based in rainy Surrey, and it's been raining here for about 2 weeks solid. I told you before, I did spend a year in France a few years ago, about 20 years ago, but I've never spent the spring in Provence. I'm very jealous.
Yeah, it's very nice. Everything, yeah, it's just everything is earlier. Kind of starts now.
Fantastic. Well, look, I am really excited to be here with you today. I think I've been asking the team to start a webinar with you for about 6 months now, so I'm really excited to be here and chatting with you today. What we'll be doing today is digging a bit deeper into the Soundtrap story from before the Spotify years through the Spotify acquisition initially in 2017, and then last year's reacquisition. How you and the leadership team are thinking about things like talent retention, people strategy, and things like compliance, managing that across half a dozen different countries internationally. But before we dig into that in any more detail, just a bit of housekeeping. So there should be time at the end for Q&A. So if you do post any questions in the chat for Olle, or if you want to ask me some questions as well, please do feel free. We have moderators on the chat as well, so they'll be able to answer any immediate questions that come up, but we will try and leave time at the end for some Q&A. But for those who don't know, Olle, perhaps we could start with just an introduction to yourself, when you came across Soundtrap, and then a bit about Soundtrap, what it is, what you are trying to achieve.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so my name is Olle. I'm 43 years old, and I live in Aix-en-Provence, as I said, with my wife and two children. I have a business background. I work in consulting and also very much an entrepreneur at heart. And I've founded a bunch of companies and I love sort of startup entrepreneurial environment. I'm also a music producer, a musician. I've played music all my life, and some 7 years ago I wanted to make a change. I was in another startup company called Nepa. That was a fantastic company. When I was there, we grew from 30 when I joined to 200 employees, and an IPO where I left 4 years later, and it was a great journey. But I felt that I was done there. And contemplating what I wanted to do with my life, I kind of went back to the roots and realized, of course, I have a huge passion for music. So I started to look for opportunities in music and found it a fantastic startup called Soundtrap. Then was the company of 35 people, and it was in May 2017, so it was about 7 years ago. And it's an online music making tool. It's a tool for making music. So if you have an idea for a song, a beat, you can create your beat, sing your vocals, you can produce music. And what's unique about Soundtrap was that it's completely cloud-based. It's browser-based, so it's sort of a Google Docs for music. So you can work simultaneously from anywhere in the world with the same project. So kind of three three main problems that we were set out to solve is that one, music making it very complicated. It takes a lot of technical know-how. Two, it often sort of download the software, so it's a single user environment. You can't take your projects with you. And three, it's not collaborative, the current tools that were out there. So with Soundtrap, we wanted to fix that, because most of the music makers, they're not music producers, they're not audio engineers, they don't want to necessarily learn how to operate the studio. They just want to make music and do that with others. And we started out as a consumer tool, but then quite early on we had, of course, we were founded in Stockholm. It's a Swedish company, but early on users pick up very quickly in the US. And teachers started approaching us from school, saying, "Hey, this is a great tool. We use it in school." And we got an early reward from a teachers association in the US for best educational creative tool of the year. And soon after that, Google approached us for us to be sort of featured in their Google Classroom creative bundle as sort of their GarageBand. So quite early on, we pivoted to very sort of Soundtrap for education type of play, and that's where we were when I joined. And then about six months after I joined, we were acquired by Spotify, and so for since then we've been part of Spotify. And of course, the idea with music listening and music creation, the same tool was a very cool one. During that time, we grew from 35 to about triple the size. It's been a fantastic journey. We've learned a lot being part of Spotify as a global and really fantastic company. But in sort of both our strategy and theirs, we kind of made a decision this last spring to part ways. So the two of the original founders of Soundtrap bought Soundtrap back, and now we are an independent company again. But during that time, of course, we've continued to serve schools throughout the world in the US, but we've also built out again our consumer business. So right now we have two main business models: Soundtrap for consumers, anyone that want to make music can use that, and it's Soundtrap for education with Soundtrap that is used in school.
Super interesting, and it's really interesting to hear about how the schools piece kind of arose. Was that something you were kind of aware of, and you decided actually we want to target schools, or did it kind of happen organically? Some schools started using it, and then you found out.
Yeah, organically, the school started using it, and then they had very specific needs, because we're a sort of social network. You connect use it with other people, and schools they need compliance for that to be able to shield off and work with walled garden. There's a bunch of unique requirements in schools, and schools have their learning management systems that they need integration with for Soundtrap to work better. So it happened organically. They started using us and demanded an additional compliance. So we accommodated that, but it's very much user driven.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And tell me, what was life like back in the pre-Spotify days? So back when you joined, kind of 6 months before the acquisition, were you all kind of office-based here in Stockholm, or like what was the community like? How did you all come together?
Yeah, so we had an office in Stockholm, in Södermalm in central Stockholm, where everyone went to work like we used to in those days. We were a very sort of internationally vibrant company already then. I think already then when we were 35 people, we had at least 10 plus different nationalities, and English was sort of the main language spoken. So it was international environment, which was sort of me very inspiring, but it was still very, everyone worked in Stockholm and out of the Stockholm. Except that we should add, already then we had started with, on a consultancy basis, having sales staff and teachers in the US supporting us with our US clients. Because of course in the consumer model, we have users in 200 plus countries and all over the world, because then one can just with a browser can use us. But for the schools, it's more, of course, localized, and the need for local support is Bigger. So already then we had a network and consultants working with us in in the US, former teachers that also organically reached out to us and said, hey, well, I love the tool, can I be part of it? And we said, yeah, of course.
Interesting. So you had teachers coming to you asking to be your to kind of partner with you and to be your consultants in international locations. That's super interesting.
Yeah, and very US based. So it's the school thing took off very much in the US, and we were all based in Stockholm, pure, or organically.
Yeah. How did life change until you were this group of this small tribe of 35 people? All of a sudden, overnight, you're acquired by Spotify. You have access to, all of the Spotify resources, all of their entities around the world. You can start to hire from anywhere. How did that kind of shape your thinking about people strategy?
First of all, we really got the best of both worlds. So we still operated very much with our own brand and our own identity, but of course we got access to the amazing kind of people in HR system that Spotify have, and the people strategies with career frameworks and salary benchmarks and benefit and all of that.
Gotcha.
To certainly professionalize our whole HR strategy to great degree.
Yeah, absolutely. And then last question on it. Of those 35 or so people, how many of them then stayed kind of long term under Soundtrap within the Spotify umbrella? Did you manage to hold on to most of the staff? How did that play out?
Yeah, a great deal. I think we're still some 20 people left from that period. So we have a lot of people that have been with us for a very long time, and then with some natural churn, of course, but we're still a very sort of lots of people that are still there from before the Spotify days.
Yeah, that's a pretty good retention rate, given it was 7 odd years ago, and now there's still 20 of those 35 still work for the company. So yeah, you did a good job there. Okay, great. So what point did you start to realize that actually now might be the right time to move away from Spotify and could you tell us a bit of kind of what's happened in the last kind of year, 2 months or so?
Yeah, so that was a discussion that happened last spring, and in kind of Q2 quite fast when I mean we like to move fast, Spotify likes to move fast, and we started the right thing to do, and it was originally the conversation between Björn and Per, the founders, and Spotify, and then were a tight group that worked on for a while, and then it was communicated in early June 2023.
Gotcha.
And then of course we had about 3 weeks to set everything up with payroll and employment for everyone. And of course the very great benefit being part of Spotify is that during that time we of course during COVID, as also publicly communicated, Spotify launched from anywhere strategy. That for us also worked fantastically, because it opened up very much recruitment to we weren't no longer sort of obliged to just recruit in Stockholm, but could recruit anywhere in Europe and US as well. We want to keep people in the same time zone team they are working on, but we could suddenly recruit people everywhere, which is of course fantastic. Everyone wants to move to Stockholm, and we are also of course a niche where it's good to have both kind of musical background and music skills, but also of course we need top talent in engineering and marketing. So opening up the field to be able to recruit across Europe was fantastic.
Yeah.
And during being part of Spotify, and then with the spin-off, of course, wanted to take everyone with us and offering everyone to come with us, and we need solutions for continuing employing everyone to the same way as they've been before, and also with great benefits and healthcare and all of that we all got used to during Spotify.
Yeah, absolutely. So back in 2017, you'd gone from this team of 35, all office based in Stockholm, when the decision was made to spin off from Spotify. And then, what did the team look like then? It sounds like there was more of a dispersed workforce then.
Yeah, so we had that north of 100 people then. Then some people made now it's probably time to move on, or they continued it. Have a new Spotify, but we were some 75 people who eventually ended up continuing with Soundtrap as a standalone company. And those 75 people were spread out across 9 different countries. Have the biggest hubs were in Stockholm and London, and then quite a few spread out across the US, and then the rest spread out across Europe.
Yeah.
Then of course we had and then of course Soundtrap didn't exist as the legal entity. It was just a consumer brand. So we of course needed to set everything up from scratch within legal entities in the US, in the UK, in Sweden, and we needed a way of best possible way of employing everyone and make sure that their employment was transferred from Spotify to Soundtrap in a good and secure way with great benefits intact and salary intact and as little disruption as possible, despite of course setting up everything from scratch.
Got you. And at what point did you realize that was going to be kind of a bit like an issue? Obviously you've gone from having the Spotify infrastructure, which allows you to hire in all these different countries, and then you realize, okay, we can spin off, but actually we have this problem that means we need to pay all these people internationally.
I think that was one of the apparent problems to solve. Was to solve when doing the spin-off, that these were a bunch of steps, of course, and the people part of it, probably the single most important to get right from the bat. And then there were other streams as well, like technical and a lot of decoupling that we need to get done. But that was an apparent, very important and time-sensitive work stream from the start.
Yeah, absolutely. And so you mentioned a few things. So, you've got to think about how do we make sure we maintain employee benefits, and how do we make sure we're compliant with local labor law now that we don't have kind of like the Spotify HR team on speed dial for those kind of situations. So, how did you approach the benefits? Did you try and harmonize as much as possible, or did you try and increase or decrease, or what was your kind of strategy around that?
So for the benefits part, of course, Spotify has fantastic benefits. So it was a matter of getting as close as possible, despite being a smaller independent. So wanted of course the best possible benefit there is, and of course there we got amazing help from you at OmniProtect, who have great work and for suppliers of benefit. So what we did for each market was to try to get a quote from Spotify providers, like how would it work if we buy the benefit from you independently, and then also to benchmark with your OmniProtect recommended suppliers. And in all instances we went with the OmniProtect recommended suppliers because they were the best bang for the buck.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or best possible benefits we could from there, and we got pretty close to the original one.
Yeah, because you've got a number of different things at play here, right? You've got Spotify, which is going to be one of the companies with like the leading benefits provision of any multinational company in the world, and then you've got the local market dynamics to play with, and then what you can and can't offer for each employee, like benefits in the UK and London being one of your hubs versus benefits in the States is completely different expectations from employees about what they should and shouldn't have. So navigating that must have been a bit of a challenge.
Yeah, certainly, and in particularly in the US, of course, which of course healthcare is very, very important. In some countries like France and Sweden, it's more of a nice to have, and in the US, it's an absolute necessity to have. And of course, I was leading the HR work stream from Soundtrap perspective, and I don't have a background in comp and band, and I have no expertise in it whatsoever. So being able to leaning on OmniProtect in your team for that was what just a lifesaver. We couldn't have done it without you.
Thanks for the kind word. One of the other thing I'm curious about is, obviously in some countries you did use OmniProtect, and in other countries you decided to set up an entity. And I was curious to get your take on that. What kind of drove some of those decisions, and what were you considering when you were thinking about that?
Yeah, so the key, what we optimized for was best possible setup for each employee, and also being able to do this in 3 weeks. So we're on a very tight schedule. So Sweden, our kind of home market, then we set it up quite easily ourselves. France was a bit of a special case that we need to handle separately, but mainly the three main, or kind of the 4 main solutions we went with was some like in France, we just set up the companies ourselves and with local agency, and then with like for UK and US, we have legal entity as well, but OmniProtect, you handle all the payroll and our HR function there for complement. And then of course we also have instead of like in Spain and Germany, where we are employing people from the Swedish entity, but we have registered as a local employer. And then the 4th option is the employer of record setup, which for us is of course the easiest one, and which we had in the Netherlands, Italy, and Denmark through you at OmniProtect, and that's working of course extremely easy and well.
Yeah. I mean, each of the countries you mentioned there all have their own different dynamics and regulation. Like, you can use EOR in Germany, but there's going to be regulations around it, and you can only hire people for a certain period and things like that. So actually the foreign direct employment is often the solution we recommend set up people. Like the US is completely different, again, with their benefits, and the payroll and setting up an entity is actually a bit easier than some other countries. And Italy is a minefield when it comes to very complicated when it comes to labor law and things like that. So very interesting how you have all the different countries operating slightly different way, but ultimately you want the same approach, right? You want to hire these people, you want to be able to offer leading benefit, you want to create a great employee experience, and that's ultimately what you're trying to achieve there, right?
Yeah, exactly like that. And that I'm part of the learning, so I'm amazed with how different the countries work. Despite it's all might think of Europe as one place, but it's really not really. Yeah, every country has their own very specific ways of doing things and very specific labor laws, and that we need to just comply with.
Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting when people say, people come and talk to them, say, oh, well, they all use the euro, don't they? So they should operate in the same way. And it's completely, all the labor laws of all the different countries are completely different.
Yeah.
Find that out.
And great learning experience, and of course, great. Of course, we learned some of it being part of Spotify. There's also international, coverage, but always great sense of confidence and security having you and OmniProtect helping us throughout that of course knows all the intricate of all the markets in a way that we do not at all.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, that's what we're here to do, but that's actually what I want to touch on next. So you realize you had this problem, you realize you had employees in all these different countries, you realize there was complexity in each country, and each country has a unique set of requirement. How did you go about sourcing a supplier? What made you choose OmniProtect to help you through this?
Yeah, so we looked at a couple of different suppliers, and what we all wanted to optimize for it was just best possible experience for our employees. That's sort of the far most important one. And secondly, of course, we needed to get it done in time. And I think OmniProtect you came highly recommended from folks that individuals in our network that we knew and trusted, and you were just the best quality. think you were the most expensive, but for highest quality, and that's what we needed and wanted.
That's good to hear. And then when it came to kind of the planning process and thinking about how do we then, think about when are we going to communicate all of these changes to employees? What are they going to think? Like, how did you think about that? Did you have like a robust communication plan and then rollout plan for all of this, or how did that come together towards the end?
Yeah, absolutely. We had a very, very detailed communication plan, which of course started with Spotify announcing this in their channels, and similarly to that, we announced it to all our employees and described a bit what to expect. And it's of course it's for some like myself, I was there before Spotify, and I love Spotify. It's a fantastic company, but I'm an entrepreneurial person, and I quite like a good startup scale up environment. So for me, it's fun. Whereas for others, maybe you're more on the security seeking side. It felt more like a big change. So we had all type of feelings and reactions to it, and it was certainly a disruptive time for a couple of weeks for everyone. Also deciding like, do I want to stay with Soundtrap? What do I want?
Yeah, exactly. So because as soon as that Spotify announcement goes out, that everybody's probably going to have questions. But in particular, the people that are outside of Stockholm are going to have questions and thinking, what does it mean for me? Am I going to be retained? What does this all mean? So I guess you then have to quickly get in front of the employees and then reassure them. Obviously, the plan is to retain as many of those as you can through that process, right?
Yeah, exactly. And there are details that are of course very important. Someone is on an expat tax regime somewhere, and someone is on a visa somewhere, and the details of the employment is very, very important for everyone, for sure.
Yeah. And then you'd already done all the planning about the benefits, so you knew exactly how to communicate, exactly what the contracts to share with people, the benefits offering, all of those kind of things. On reflection, kind of how did that transition process go? How did it all come together in the end?
So we actually started to work with the benefit once this was all communicated. We couldn't start before. We had 3 weeks to set everything up, and of course we started in countries in order of priority. Like US is the most important one for benefits, and then UK, and then just ticked off countries one by one. So that was all set up in those during those 3 weeks.
Which
A lot of the so the basic structure of what type of like legal setup we would have for each country, what kind of that was done in advance, but exactly the benefit and details of each country, that's something we worked on during those weeks, because at that time we also didn't know what countries we would have. For example, we had one employee in Finland that decided it was time to do something else, and then of course, Finland wasn't the country that we needed. And we had another employee in Spain that kind of had decided to move to Netherlands. We needed the Netherlands as a new country. So although even what countries we would have was sort of in moving material.
Yeah, absolutely. Reflecting on that whole process, are there any learnings you would share? What would, if you would do it all again tomorrow, is there anything you would have done differently?
I think one is I definitely underestimated the work involved with the benefit. I think that would now I started to do it myself with great help of you, but by lucky break we have had someone on our US team that worked a lot with in benefit that could help me internally also, and I mean just US took about a week, and then UK took another week, and if I would do it again, I would just one person in each country, because each country in itself, and that's what I did after about 2 weeks. It just a lot of work just getting quotes from and as I said in the beginning, we wanted to benchmark your preferred providers with another provider, and in any way we need to get quotes from everyone, and that takes time, and was also a lot of time sensitive for everyone involved. So I would definitely have started with benefits for all countries day one rather than going in order of priority.
Yeah.
I think that's one learning for sure. Another one is that the complexity of benefit per country, as that like each country had their own very special rules and regulations. And for example, we just continue with all the benefits that was there. And for example, one of them was food allowance, which we now discontinued, and we swapped it for just salary for everyone. And it was a nice thing, and of course everyone had lunch cards. But now we were in a situation where we have, in Italy we had one person, and in France we had two, and in Denmark we had two. So a lot of countries with very small number of people, and it's just a lot of administration of having food cards for everyone and doing that. So certainly each country benefit still adds complexity. So I think simplifying benefits and rather putting the money in salary, another lesson learned, and something that will continue being very much when thinking about new benefit.
It's really interesting you mentioned benefits, because it comes up a lot in the discussions we have with clients. Oftentimes we try and recommend to do more of that benefits planning up front to get ahead of the game, and then we have a team on standby. So even before you agree to work with OmniProtect, we'll often offer a deep dive and say, look, here are your countries, tell us what you've got at the moment, we'll tell you how our benefit compare, and then we can see if there's a gap anywhere, so you know up front. But it's often one of the things that does get kind of put to one side. People are thinking about, well, am I going to, what do my legal contracts say? Are they going to be compliant? Are they going to adhere to the things that I want to have in my contracts? How much is it going to cost? How much is payroll in every single country, and all of those kind of cost analyses? And then benefits becomes almost like the second or third topic, which is often done afterwards. But like you say, it's complex, and we have experts, we have a team of experts for a reason. And the more we can do up front, I think it's also learning for us, and maybe guiding a bit more on people to say, like, let's have this conversation sooner rather than later. But yeah, it's a really interesting learning from that.
And then of course the third learning, if we say, is the after starting with benefit early, and then of course that the complexity. I think third learning is also how well it still works. I'm a firm believer in letting people choose their working form. Like, if you want to work from home, you can do that, or if you work better in an office, you can do that. And for us, it's so amazing we've done some recruitment during this year, and to be able to continue to recruit across Europe, and know that people can join from Germany. Like, we hire a designer in Germany, and then they can join in Germany. They don't need to move to Stockholm. And if we would have limited to Stockholm, we wouldn't have been able to find this amazing person. Say we're in Germany. So being able to continue working in a distributed way and let people work on whether they do their best work, I think that's such a huge advantage to being able to do. And I think it will be a core, and is a core part of our HR strategy and our recruitment strategy to find the best people we can and retain them.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely an ethos that we live by omnipresent. My team alone, I've got people in Canada, in South Africa, in Bulgaria, in Valencia, in Spain, all in far more glamorous locations than I am, certainly here in Surrey. Provence is certainly, I'd rather be in here. But yeah, it allows you to hire anybody regardless of where they are, and you hire for the skills rather than location or ability to commute to London, right? So definitely hear you on that one. Last question from me. What's next for Soundtrap? Where do you see the world of else within that interest?
So, I mean, we'll continue to improve our product and be the best easy to use collaborative music making tool there is. And think if we can, I think we are good at it, but we want to continue to be the best we ever can. And it's really about empowering a lot of kids. A lot of our users are between 12 and 17 years old. That's the bulk. Young person having an idea and wanting to be creative, and just let them have the best possible experience expressing themselves. That in the middle that we're on, and will continue to far from done. So that's certainly what we will continue doing, and of course also provide the best possible product we can. And on the HR front, of course, we will continue to be distributed and what kind of hybrid workplace. We do have, of course, an office in Stockholm, and for people who want to work with other people, they come into the office there, but letting everyone do what's best for them and work in the conditions that they do the best work.
Sounds exciting. Fantastic. Well, thanks so much, Ollie. What I'm going to do now is shift to the Q&A. I think we've got a couple of questions in the chat. One question that sprung to my mind was, back at the start, you said you had a passion for music. I'm curious about what your favorite instrument is and what kind of genres you're most interested in.
So my favorite instrument is guitar, but I started when I was a kid to play piano. I played a lot of guitar, and I sing as well. I love singing. Then I've also taken a detour into doing music production, which I really like, and I've learned the craft behind that. And right now I'm actually playing quite a lot of piano, and I'm enjoying improving my piano skill. So I like doing kind of different things. Also, my oldest son is a great drummer, so I have a drum kit. So I'm for fun as well. But my instrument heart is the guitar for sure.
Yeah, very cool. And is that something you look for when you're hiring people at Soundtrap? Do you have asked questions about people's passion for music and if they play instruments themselves?
I think that depends. I mean, of course, one of our core values is you have to have a passion for music creation, and we're very sort of mission-based company. We empower kids to be creative, and it's that thing. And of course, that's what we all really care about. But then it depends on the job. Like if you're a product manager for our one of our studio teams, of course you need to know music creation and music production well. If you're a designer or product manager for our growth team, it's not necessarily music that is the core skill. Or if, for example, our sales staff in the US, and a lot of them have a teaching background, and their expertise is in the teaching domain, more about how do you use Soundtrap to improve your sort of teaching. So it depends on the domain. A lot of us are musicians, but it's definitely not a prerequisite. Kind of depends on the role. For certain roles, yes, and other roles, another domain expertise is important, but it's not a prerequisite.
Yeah, okay. Makes total sense. Okay, so jumping into the chat, let me go from the bottom up. So there's one question in here, which was, what was the hardest part of managing this process for Soundtrap? And is there anything you would have done differently? We kind of asked a differently question, but I wonder if you want to just touch on the hardest part of managing the process. Would you say that was the benefit, or is that is there anything else you would call out?
Yeah, no, I think the hardest part is to, of course, I think it transitioned to it was very, very sort of life-changing feel for everyone, and for us and me being part of the Soundtrap leadership team to, of course, paint a realistic picture of where Soundtrap will go. I'm 100% sure in our continued ability to conquer the world, and we're doing well. But of course, I can't make any promises, and everyone needs to sort of make that decision. And it's certainly that Soundtrap is much smaller, and from an outside perspective, of course, a more risky business to be in. But I think that managing expectations and during the transition and be there for everyone and I think that was definitely a big and important and hard part.
Yeah, I bet it must have been a big transition for a lot of the people there, from an emotional perspective. Cool. So next question we have is from saying, we're looking at acquiring an organization. I think this is probably a question for me that I'll try and tackle. So we're looking at acquiring an organization in Poland that comes with a large sales team. Would employer of record be a good fit for that use case? So the answer to this question is potentially. There's a few things to consider here, which are one thing to think about is permanent establishment risk. If you're hiring a lot of people and senior people in a certain country, then you might be triggering a risk in that country where you need to set up your own legal entity or retain the legal entity that you already have. But it really depends on the number of people, the activities people are doing, seniority of those people as well. It looks like Hannah has responded to this question, so we've checked that one offline, but there's a few different things to consider when it comes to, should I set up an entity, should I retain an entity, should I use employer of record? All right, next one is for you, Ollie. So this one said, Ollie, you mentioned you weren't too experienced with HR. How do you build a great team for a divestiture like yours that brings together your internal staff and your external expertise like OmniProtect? Any tips for balancing both?
Yeah, I mean, the team was very much, of course, when I say HR in Spotify, I mean, it's fantastic. We had, and at the time, so many experts in different fields. And now of course, we were in a position of being able to managing that ourselves. And when I say experience with HR, it's really the nuts and bolts of it. How do we employ people? How does payroll work and complement? And I mean, the great team was already there. It was you at OmniProtect, and we were very fortunate to be able to tap into that and to have you as part of your team. Then also out of that, we also have a great legal team and an agency called Anten in Sweden that is just an amazing from the legal front and but it's very very in OmniProtect and our legal agency and myself and Jess, who is running operations for us. That it's a sort of, and has been running a lot of the comp and benefit stuff. So very small and outsourced team between me and Jess and you and our legal team. But I think it's been worked very 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 well. And in addition to our two folks, Dan and Cindy on our US team, that also was a great invaluable help internally for the benefit part in the US.
Fantastic. There's one final question here, which we may have covered, but I'll ask it anyway. So question for Ollie, at what point in the negotiation did you know you needed external support? How did you end up knowing a solution like EOR, or did you look at other solutions?
So I think that we knew we needed help from I mean, early on, because we had many employees in so many countries, and we knew that there were firms helping out with that. Then of course the solution per country, that was very much in conversation with you at OmniProtect and what the best setup for each country. But we were aware of that this was an option and that we could get help with it.
Fantastic. Perfect. Well, that's the end of the Q&A. We've no more questions to ask you. Ollie, any final remarks from you before we close up?
No, just that, thanks so much to you and OmniProtect, and we couldn't have done it without you, and we are very, very thankful and huge fans of yours, and we couldn't have been happier with the choice of going with you. I think it's been a very, very good partnership so far, and we look forward to continue the journey with you.
That's great to hear. Is there anybody in particular, OmniProtect, that you wanted to shout out?
Yeah, for sure. Linda Turkman been amazing. Of course, the platform and all is good, but Linda really been our lifesaver through and through and lots of different times. So yeah, Linda is amazing and yeah, been a big part of our experience with OmniPresent is working with Linda and the rest of the team, of course, but Linda in particular have helped us so much and gone above and beyond so many times that I can't thank her enough.
Yeah, Linda's an absolute hero. We think every kind of transition like this needs a Linda to join all the dots, and yeah, she's instrumental for us in doing this opportunity. So that's good to hear. Perfect. Well, look, Ollie, thank you so much. This has been really insightful. I've really enjoyed speaking today. Really excited to see you continue on and conquer the world, as you say, and yeah, we'll be here to support you every step of the way.
Thanks so much, George. Thanks for having me.
Brilliant. Thanks. Right.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks for joining us on another episode of the Global Workforce Podcast, brought to you by OmniPresent. Visit us at omnipresent.com to find out more about how we can help you effortlessly employ global teams without an entity. The show notes also include links to any resources mentioned in today's show. And if you're enjoying the podcast, please subscribe so you never miss an episode and leave us a 5-star review. Thanks very much and see you next time.